Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, I get to interview my favorite boss from my long news career, and she has reinvented herself as a novelist. Her incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I've got to confess, I'm nervous, a little bit giddy, because I'm interviewing my favorite boss of all time. Maria Bars is in the studio, former news director at KDFW Fox 4, and we worked together for about 15 years. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And now, she spent a whole lifetime in television news, but you said right before the show, you kind of get nervous before being interviewed.
Yeah. Because who knows what you're going to ask me.
No trick questions. I told you you're my favorite boss. Okay, so we're going to talk more about your book in a second, but I want to start with a romance story, because you have been in love with your husband now for 45 years.
Yeah, since 1978.
1978.
We met in English 1A at Hartnell Junior College in Salinas, California.
And we happen to have a picture, so let's go ahead and show that picture. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
That is so cute.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you remember what it was about him that, got your heart aflutter?
Actually, do we have time for me to tell a quick story?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 10 years after we met in English 1A, we're at a dinner party, and I'm telling the story of how we met. And I said our English teacher had read selected parts of the essays that we had turned in. And I approached him afterwards because I loved his essay about driving at the hills in Big Sur. And I told that story, and he said, "What are you talking about? I never wrote an essay about Big Sur." And so we've had a joke now that we weren't supposed to be together, because it was his writing that first sparked my interest in him. He is a good writer.
Okay, what's because we're going to be talking about your novel, and there's romance in your mystery novel. What is it about the marriage that just works?
We respect each other. We're very different. I mean, we've canceled each other out voting for decades, and but we're tolerant. We understand each other. We give each other a lot of space, and we maintain separate banking accounts, which I think is important.
Well, and I think somebody who's married to a news person has to be very forgiving and very understanding, because I remember September 11th. I mean, we all kind of worked for a week straight, and a spouse that doesn't appreciate the all-consuming nature of news, it's just critical.
Yeah. Well, he studied journalism and business, and he opted to go the business route, which is more suited to his temperament, because he is very respectful of other people's privacy.
Sure.
And sometimes news people aren't.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So we have a commercial that, as I'm doing homework for the show, I put your name into YouTube, and I found a very early clip. We're going to roll this promo reel, and then I want you to talk about it. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Covering news as it happens is only part of our job. Even more important is how it affects all of our lives. It's not only what happened today, but what's ahead tomorrow. Where Action News has the edge is experienced reporters who know their subject and specialize in the world of news, digging deeper to get the story, taking that extra step to explain it. How it will affect you is important to all of us.
Action News, first in people, first in local news, at 6 and 11 on KSBW TV 8.
Wow. One of the things I noticed, and that's you at City Hall or something like that as a young reporter, and one of the things I noticed is electric typewriters. In my first newsroom in Lansing, Michigan, we were using electric typewriters.
Actually, my very first typewriter was what do you call it?
Mechanical.
What do you call it? There's a word, manual.
A manual.
Manual typewriter. See, I'm getting really old.
Two journalists at a loss for words. So yeah, I mean, when you think about your news career, did it just go by in an instant?
There were long stretches of time that seemed like they lasted forever. But when I look back on it, I wouldn't want to have done anything else.
Yeah. Well, you steered the ship at Channel 4, taking us to a dominant #1.
Yeah.
I remember it was one rating book where I think we won every single time slot, didn't we?
I know. That's true. That's true.
Well,
yeah, I am still very proud of Fox 4.
Yeah, and every once in a while we'll get together and reminisce, but I think that was kind of the glory days of news and budgets and helicopters and satellite trucks.
Yeah, all the tools. And there was a sense of just energy and excitement and growth that was just invigorating, and I think all of us felt it.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why Marie is my favorite boss of all time is she just would hire good people and let them do what they do. She was not a micromanager. You just said, hey, Crilley, you're a good storyteller, go out there and do it. And I remember at one point I was doing, I had different phases where I'd do crime, the lead story, and then for about 3 years I did a feature story, a feature segment. And this is the woman who allowed me to have the freedom to have some amazing reports, so thank you for that.
Yes.
We've got a picture of Maria, and let's try and guess what year this would have been. Probably mid-90s?
Yeah, had to be, because News 4 Texas, that was New World, right? When New World found us? Yeah, so that would have been 96, I think, or so, I think. Our slogan, remember, was Texas is a big state. Somebody's got to cover it.
I like that. With that big voice announcer, right? Okay, so now that is all the lead up to your suspense novel. And so we're going to put it on the screen. I want the audience to take a good look at this. Tell us about Parallel Secrets.
Parallel Secrets is a mystery, as you said. There's a fair amount of romance. The picture there is an AI image of Vicky. She's the television journalist who she returns to the scene of where she made her worst mistakes in life, and she has an opportunity to help rescue a child, to find a child and solve a couple mysteries, and to redeem herself. Wow. And that's what's driving her. And the guy is Pete.
Pete? All right, well, we're gonna get into their characters and how you develop the characters. Let's start with this picture. Okay, is this Pete?
That's Pete.
He's a handsome man, that guy.
Yeah, he looks pretty much like I had imagined him when I was writing. It was very interesting working with somebody to create AI characters. And that's Vicky. And she's been fired. She's the news director who's been fired, and she's got some time, so she's doing this personal thing. This is Joan. I can't say who she is.
Okay, okay.
Okay. And that's the child who was kidnapped, Rose. And that's Sam. Sam's my favorite character.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, can you tell us more about Sam?
Well, I'll tell you how Sam is the reason this whole book came about. I had in my mind the idea of Vicki Robeson, the reporter, as a main character for years and years and years. My husband and I were on a road trip, and we went to a restaurant, and there was a woman waiting tables. And she was just beautiful and graceful, but you could tell she was a badass. Mm-hmm. Nobody better mess with her. Yeah. And when we got back in the car, I said to my husband, she would make a really great character in a book. And for like the next 200 miles, we started talking about what we could do with that character. And she's central to the whole story.
So I'm fascinated about the process. Did you see the storyline from beginning to end, or did it just grow?
I didn't even know who the bad guy was until it was about two-thirds of the way through. I made every mistake that you can make when you're writing a book, I think. And part of it was I started writing scenes, just, dialogue and just encounters, and some of them well-developed, and then I had to weave them all together versus having, it all in my mind. So I would do it differently this next time. But I am doing it differently.
Well, so Maria, just to become clear about the character, you're creating dialogue, and I mean, do you essentially get deep into their character? Like, this character would not say this, and...
Yeah, I mean, you do need to have a real strong sense of who your character is and how they would act and what they would think about and how they would talk. And that, to me, is one of the most fun things about writing, is coming up with the characters and then trying to be as true to them as possible.
Now, are you allowed to say whether any of the characters are based on real people?
Oh.
They all are.
In bits and pieces.
Have you told the people that you wrote?
No.
No, they don't know.
They'll have to wonder.
They'll have to wonder. What's been the reaction to the book so far?
It's been good. I'm very pleased. I've gotten a lot of really, really positive reviews, and it's so interesting because you kind of expect people that you know and love to say, "Oh, I love your book. It's so good." But when absolute strangers either write a review or stop and tell you that they enjoyed the book, it's I gotta say, it's a darn good feeling.
Well, when I knew you at Channel 4, I didn't realize you had this super creative side. Were you writing back then?
Oh, you're telling me I wasn't creative?
No, you were. I was never there for your reporting side, and so I didn't get a chance to witness this. When I first heard that you were writing novels, I was like, wow, this is a kind of a departure from everything you've done.
Yeah, but I found a lot of creativity in my job all the time. I mean, whether it was just finding a new way to do a camera shot, or just an idea for a feature, or I found creativity in ways that wouldn't necessarily be considered creative. Like solving problems. I think that's one thing I was fairly good at.
Really good at.
Solving problems, finding creative ways to get around problems or overcome them or make them into something good.
Yeah, and just a great manager. Were you able to draw from your newsroom experience to create Vicky?
Yes, absolutely. And a big part of the book, too, is about the importance of journalism. I will always be a journalist, and that, I think, is it's an important thing in our society and our lives, and it's important for us to have people who are smart enough and knowledgeable enough and fair enough to relay information in a way that is interesting and adds to the debate.
Absolutely. Okay, so can you hint about book 2?
It's a follow-up.
Oh, is it?
This is a series. I'm writing
no
a
kidding.
series.
Okay, how many do you imagine?
I know I'm doing 3 for sure.
3 for sure.
Yeah. So, and I'm working on I'm in the middle of book 2.
Really?
It's getting exciting. Writing is fun. I mean, writing news was fun.
Yes.
Just because if you can find a different way that, just tweak it a little bit and add a little joke or humor or some allusion to something that's not just really obvious. I mean, that's fun. But when you get to make it up, it's in some ways harder because you don't have the facts laid out and you don't know what happened.
Right.
But and that's what it surprised me, actually, when I started writing fiction, that when you have to make everything up and you have to make things tie together, it's not as easy as writing news. Not that there's anything easy about news, but it's a different kind of challenge.
Well, when I think about J.K. Rowling, I don't know that she saw all of the books at once, or did she?
I saw once image of a spreadsheet. That woman had spreadsheets for all of the books with all of the characters and, you know, what they would do and what they would say and all that. Yeah, spreadsheets.
Wow. Do you see this?
I don't do that. I will never be anything.
Well, it sounds like this could one day be a movie. Is that in your in your bucket list?
Oh, who writes a book without having that dream? Come on.
Well, make sure that they get a handsome actor and actress playing your lead characters. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple in mind.
Okay, who's the male? Ryan
Well,
Gosling?
okay. It's kind of a Sam Shepard-ish guy.
Oh, okay.
When he was younger.
Yeah, yeah.
And Vicky. There's a lot of different women, but you know Marissa Tomei?
Yes, yes.
Okay, in My Cousin Vinny?
Yes.
Okay, her.
Her. Feisty. I love it. Okay, so final thoughts, Maria. What would you like to leave everybody with?
I would just like to say that writing is a gift. It's a gift, and I'm thrilled to be able to share my writing with people.
Maria, thank you for sharing your heart and your story, and thank you for being such a great boss all those years at Channel 4. We're going to leave everybody with the website, which is mlbars.com, the great Maria Bars. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.